سبحان فالق الإصباح.
Ding dong. Hello?
Yes, that's right, infidels. You found us here, channelattitude.com, Hameen Media Group, where you get the most real talk, the best reviews of all your favorite wrestling shows from AEW and WWE, Impact, and more, because we're going to break it all down with the best staff in professional wrestling at HMG. So you don't need to go anywhere else, because there's no 5 stars here. There's only $5 face slaps, infidel. Hello, Akbar! So sign up today, channelattitude.com, Hameen Media Group, and join the Hameen Army for the most real talk in professional wrestling. YOLO!
Jeff, I think Saturday night is going to be all right.
For fighting.
Sister's looking cute in her braces and boots, and a handful of grease in her hair.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the premiere of the PWC Saturday Night Wreckage. I am your host, Jimmy T, and my co-host, he's almost happy, but he's definitely evil, so he's pretty much always pissed off, but maybe not tonight, because apparently he's feeling alright. It is Dr. Jeff Lippman. Welcome back, or welcome to the premiere of the PWC Saturday Night Wreckage, which will also be on channelattitude.com and HMG, but not this particular episode. This one's an exclusive to the PWC, but from tomorrow that one will be on channelattitude.com. How you feeling, man?
Don't give us none of your aggravations. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm feeling pretty happy. I'm sure as we go through the show, there's going to be things that, you know, we're gonna pick at and nip at and this and there were some curious absences, but I think overall, as far as a new show from the team that's brought us Dynamite and Rampage, or possibly a different team, probably a different team, I would say this was a good start, and I thought the show was mostly good and exceeded my expectations, and the things I feared the most did not happen.
True, it did feel like a completely different booked show. And if that's the case, who the hell was booking it?
You know what? I don't even want to know right now. But I know who wasn't. I know it wasn't Tony Khan. I'm sure he had to give his okay to things. And maybe he had his fingers on a couple things here and there. But this was a very different feeling show from the tempo, the flow. There was a lack of freneticism. There weren't moving parts all over the goddamn place.
Right.
This felt like a wrestling show. Now, maybe some of it was that the set was new, that the arena was full of energy and life and vigor, and that we saw some faces we haven't seen in a long time that felt fresh. But I don't think it was just that. I think it was actually just a better wrestling show.
I agree. And like Todd says, the Comic King who's in the house once again saying, hold on, was this an AEW show we all actually enjoyed? I believe it was, Todd. Can you believe that? And he also says, what year is this? It's true. What year is this? All I know, it was a collision, and it was a great collision. And you know what, Jeff? Not only was that set actually quite nice and beautiful, as a matter of fact, it feels... No, really, it was beautiful. It actually feels like that this show could possibly become the A show, or is it just me thinking way too far ahead?
No, I don't think it's you thinking too far ahead. As a matter of fact, I already post on Twitter, but nobody follows me, so it doesn't matter. I hope somebody that matters picks this up. But I would like to start a petition to make Collision go on Wednesdays and make Dynamite go on Saturdays. And the people who are so nerdy that pretend that Dynamite is consistently a great, excellent show, everything they want, they're home on Saturdays anyway. So let those 500,000 or 600,000 people enjoy it. Put this show on Wednesday nights. You will get the same numbers as Raw soon enough if you have shows like this.
Wow, that's a big statement coming from Jeff. So if he says that, it must have been good. And Homeboy88 says in the chat, again? Yes, again.
It can't be again that we're happy. It must be again that we're doing another show.
Right.
Oh
exactly.
boy, there have been days where we've done 4 shows together. So
yeah,
this ain't nothing but a G thing.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, we were going to do 3 in a row, but we're saving that for tomorrow. But anyway, look, everything about this show from start to finish, pretty much. I mean, not everything was perfect. Let's be honest. Yeah. But hey, if Tony Nese felt like he was a lot better in this scenario, something good is happening on this show. I mean, what he was saying was fucking funny. I won't lie, and we'll get to that. But that was good. Right.
I mean, Mark Sterling didn't need to be there. It reminds us it's still AEW, but okay, so what? You know, so I mean that is picking a little fruit fly. That's not even a regular house fly. That that's a little thing.
Oh no, absolutely. And also, I mean, Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness was a breath of fresh air, man. I felt though at first Kevin Kelly was I don't know if I want to call it nerves or he's just not used to the format of AEW, because he tried to keep up at certain times, especially with the promos and stuff like that. Like, as we know, Excalibur, hate him or love him, he's pretty good at keeping up and being really, really fast at doing what he does. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like Kevin Kelly, give him a couple of weeks, I'm sure he'll get used to it. But other than that, as it got later into the show, I felt like he knocked it out of the park.
I actually felt that, aside from the Punk opening promo, which was pretty close to flawless, it took the entire show, like midway through the Andrade Matthews match, to sort of get to the speed they wanted to. I thought everything was moving sort of a little bit slow, and I was a little bit worried about that. But then I'm like, I think they're purposely slowing things down so it's not so like a pinball machine. But right now it feels slower than, like even a WWE show. It feels slower than an NXT show, but it picked up. And actually, the Andrade Matthews match, and we'll get to that shortly, there was a reason for it. I'm not sure about the first match. I'm not sure I would have started with that match, but again, not particularly important. So yeah, you lead, I'll follow. You dance, I'll try not to step on your left foot.
As long as we're not soaking, Jeff, that's all that matters.
No, there's no risk of that.
And if you want to know what we're talking about, go check out the Smack Attack on channelattitude.com. You will not be disappointed. Trust me, put it that way. Well, yeah, we do start off with the man himself. It is the Chicago-made Punk, Jeff, in CM Punk. And he gets a huge pop. There was a few kind of boos in the crowd, very minimal.
A few boo birds.
Right.
Listen,
but
this could have been the first big mistake by not opening up with him. Right. And it was unlikely that they would have done it. But, it does take up 15 minutes of a 2-hour show. But they did. They started right with CM Punk. As Chris said earlier, the last thing we heard CM Punk say on his vignette, which they repeated again, thanks WWE, was, I have a lot left to say. And he picked up with what he had to say.
Right, absolutely, he did. And let's get into that, as a matter of fact, because as Punk hits the stage with a freshly shaved head and a pair of shoes around his neck, he also is carrying a red bag, walking into the ring slowly with a big smile on his face, mind you, Jeff. And he's basking in the response he's getting, and they're treating him like a returning hero. Finally, his music cuts out, and it's time for him to speak. But before he does, he takes the AEW logo off the microphone, which is kind of weird, Jeff. Why did he do that? I mean, what's up with that?
That's his character now. He's at war. The establishment
he's Bret the Hitman Hart.
Now is
that's what he is.
AEW.
Right. He's definitely Bret Hart circa 97, dude. Seriously. Nothing wrong with that, absolutely. I do think he'll be the heel everywhere else but Chicago, maybe all the mark cities, you know what I mean, around the world. That's what I feel like they're going with.
Sure. I'm not sure. But I have seen some rumblings of intra-AEW civil war in the fandom. We're already there, but, breaking wide open now. And listen, I'm all here for that. But this is what everyone said. Everyone's fear about this brand split and separate shows is that they were not going to be able to turn the real-life controversy and turn it into money. And I don't know to what extent they can, but this is certainly the first step in doing that, even if there are limitations on it. We don't know that yet. And I thought that was excellent.
No, absolutely.
I thought the whole thing was excellent. First of all, I didn't, first of all, figure out that those were his wrestling boots because it looked like he was wearing boots, but he came out wearing a Larry shirt.
He's been doing that, actually, Jeff, as a matter of fact.
I haven't seen him because I'm not as dorky as you are.
Oh, really? Come on now. Yeah. Come on now, Jeff.
Well, anyway. I have different dorkiness.
Well, he opens up by saying he's tired of being nice, Jeff. He's been gone for a long time with an injury, but he's back now, and as long as he's here, this is the professional wrestling business with grown-ups, mind you, Jeff.
Business. That was a very important word that he inserted there. It wasn't professional wrestling versus sports entertainment. It was professional wrestling business. He said a lot of things here which listen,
Subliminal.
this is going to be the talk of the week. How some people were upset and this that I counterfeit bucks.
That was a good line
kiss on that one.
Absolutely. I'm not gonna lie, that popped me and I was like, oof. I mean, well, I'll get back into the promo before I say something, but he also goes on to say tonight he wants to talk about the future, but first he has to talk about the past. He wouldn't have believed he could sell out a bunch of different arenas when he was a kid. He goes back to saying he's tired of being nice and tell me why I'm telling lies, Jeff. Then he puts over the fans saying he rode the backs of smart, passionate wrestling fans. I was hoping he was going to say smarks, but he didn't. Like everyone here tonight, I love you for it. I love you because you love me, and you love me because I have never compromised. I have been unapologetic my entire career. I am me, and I couldn't have done all this without all of you. But it seems there are some people that hate me for the same reasons you all love me. I understand that the sheer magnitude of me makes people uncomfortable, and he calls himself the truth, and the truth is actually pretty painful, Jeff.
Yeah, this was he. Look, I don't remember him using this type of cadence before in his promos. This was very much like Dave Chappelle. He kept coming back to line. Tell me when I'm lying. He kept saying,
right.
He kept coming back to lines. I think there was one other line he kept repeating, and I liked it. I thought it was very effective. It reminded me of Dave Chappelle's most recent comedy show, which was less comedy and more like a social commentary essay. But that's fine because that's closer to a wrestling promo anyway. But it's very effective, and I've noticed a lot of comedians use it. And what's the closest thing to a promo other than a comedian having to stand there in front of an audience basically alone for 40 minutes or 20 minutes trying to do it? And it's a very effective device, and he used it very effectively.
Absolutely. And he got straight to the point, which I like. He didn't like sugarcoat nothing. He just went straight into it. And it wasn't even such a long promo, but he goes on to say he tells fans to boo him, cheer him, love him, hate him, but they all do it because they know he's right. He says he's being called One Bill Phil because he's the genuine article in a business
David
field.
Zaslav.
Right, that's right. In a business filled with counterfeit bucks, Jeff.
Right. So that was good because I thought he was trying to further the 1 billion rumor, but it wasn't. He was actually just talking about actual money, and but it could have been both. But I don't know if this happened before you're coming to it. But he pointed to people's signs and he read them.
Yes, he did.
And he said, "You can call me." And one person had CM Junk. He said, "You can call me that." He's like, "You can cheer me, you can boo me." He's like, basically, you can do whatever you want. You can love me or hate me, but I'm telling the truth. Then he did, and then he went back to, "Stop me when I'm telling lies."
Right, and it's not the first time he's used that line before. He has said it in the past.
Has he?
But anyway. Sorry, Jeff?
I'm not CM Punk guy, you know that.
Right, no, I was right, exactly. But anyway, he continues on saying, pun intended. Well, he didn't say that because it was pun intended. But the king is back, baby. And he asked Chicago a question, why would I change? He says he's always spoken the truth to power, always be himself, and never compromise. And there are people who think they are owed an apology. Hint, hint, I guess he's talking about the elite there, right, Jeff?
Oh, I don't know. Keep going, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm still confused who he's talking about.
Right. Well, he continues on saying he says he's grown older and wiser in his years, and sometimes it's better to be the bigger man. Then he says if anyone in there feels like they are owed an apology, he's sorry they're softer than the wrestlers they like. Ouch.
Yeah, that was great because I didn't know at first it was directed at the fans, then to the wrestlers, but it made sense soon enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this was really good. There was something I've already forgotten what I want to say, but yeah, this was all really good. There's only one thing that I didn't like, and you're going to get to it, but like when he gestured to the bag and what was in it, and obviously he's making allusions to it's the AEW belt. At some point, he should have taken the belt out of the bag and laid it down on the ground.
Yeah, I don't understand why he didn't do that. At first, I'm thinking, why was he coming out with a bag? I'm thinking, is it Jake Snake in it? Is it Damien? Right, yeah. Like, that's what I'm thinking. That was kind of weird. But then he obviously was hinting that it was the AEW World Championship. And he's right. He didn't end up losing it. And I'll get to it now because he says, once again, tell me when I'm telling lies, as they chant his name. He said the last time he was here, he held what was in the red bag in his hands. And that's because he earned it. It belongs to him until someone can pin him or submit him for it. Then he addresses the shoes around his neck, saying some obviously want him to hang him up. But there's no one in the company who can fill these boots. So he'll keep going until that's the case. And then he drops the mic. And that's that. And like you said, he never did open the red bag.
Yeah, that was his only mistake, except for some, I mean, not everything was perfect, but it obviously felt like it was sincere, and he had some killer lines there. I just wish that he opened the bag. And, I mean, even if it was a replica belt that they gave him from the AEW store, what's the difference? Just laid it down. And actually, it could have just been the regular AEW belt, because the one that MJF carries around isn't the regular one. He has a custom made to look like Burberry. So they have the actual AEW belt somewhere. So I think that would have been a cool visual as opposed to it just being a clear inference. And I'm going to say I don't think that's a nitpick. I think that was a gaffe. And that was a bit of an error. Certainly, it doesn't drastically take away from the segment, but I think that visual would have been powerful.
Oh, for sure, definitely.
And I think the crowd would have gone crazy.
No, 100%. I'm trying to get a comment up. For some reason, it's not coming up, so I don't know why.
It wasn't Collision supposed to have its own roster.
Did it come up for you? Did it?
Well, I saw it come quick and then down. The answer is it's always been said that it was going to be a soft split. And apparently there's some people that absolutely won't work with each other, but there's others who will. And there's probably a large segment that really doesn't have a choice.
Right.
I mean, what kind of bargaining power does, say, like a Bear Country or Griff Garrison have?
Yeah, no, it's true. And but you know what, Jeff, do you think... I just feel like the Elite, right? Now, obviously they're not allowed to be on... Well, I don't know what's going on, really. But they seem to not be on the intro for Collision, which stood out big time for me. I found it kind of weird that they weren't on it.
Why?
Everyone but the Elite. Everyone but the Elite was on that damn intro. Really?
Not
when you think about it.
But
all the main people.
Adam Cole. No, I don't think the BCC was there. I mean, I saw Bryan Danielson, but not the other guys.
That's true. I didn't see Moxley either, right? Or the other guys, other than Danielson. But still,
I didn't see any Lucha Brothers. I didn't see any Luchadors. Period. Unless you count Andrade.
I thought I did see the Lucha Brothers on there.
I mean, there was some people I was surprised to see there, and once again, I take the Orange Cassidy one as a threat, and I'm not happy about that. But yeah, Punk was on it at least 3 times. He was the opening and the closing, so it's obviously his show. Little disappointed in which women weren't on the show or even shown on the graphic. It seems like some of the women who had fit in on this side of the roster were forgotten, and the women's match felt very much like just a regular AEW show match, and I don't think it needed to be here. I mean, I think that people would have been pretty darn happy if we saw, I don't know, Mercedes Martinez versus Serena Deeb give us a 11-minute clinic.
I agree. Speaking of Serena Deeb, where the hell is she? But it is what it is. Todd says apparently Moxley was actually working a wrestling revolver show tonight, so it wasn't even there.
Right, but he could be on the graphic. He could be on the intro. He could be on the show beginning.
No, you're right. Absolutely. Also, can I just say, and I'm going to say it now, Happy Pride Month, by the way, because you know what I'm about to say.
Hmm?
The intro song, first of all, they copied us. we said over a month ago that that was going to be our intro song, as a matter of fact, but not the Elton John version, not the original version, but the Nickelback and Kid Rock version. Yet AEW decided to go with the most unwrestling type of song. Sure, lyrically it suits it, but the Elton John version, come on, as good as it just doesn't go, man. It just so didn't go. It was actually driving me nuts. They should have had, well, like Todd said in the chat, could have been Collision by Faith No More, good name, great song.
Mm-hmm.
Or they should have gone with the version that we're using, Jeff, which is a Nickelback Kid Rock version, which is a lot better than the Elton John version.
There's
and
a
it would
lot
have
of
suited
praise
better.
happening for Nickelback and Kid Rock right now, and I'm not sure how to feel about any of it. Elton John, a legend, but not like Elton John music and professional wrestling aren't two things to go. I mean, it's like playing Killer Queen as your entry. It's not. It's like, another one bites the dust, or We Will Rock You. Maybe you could, We Are the Champions. Could maybe play a role, but Fat Bottom Girls, no. It's like REO Speedwagon. Chicago. These are not. This is not wrestling music. And Elton John is in that. He's more theatrical rock.
Oh, absolutely, and that would have been TK's decision, no doubt about it.
Well,
100%.
His choice of music paired with people is wrong. I mean, Chris says it every week. Wild Thing for heels is terrible. It's a terrible idea.
Right.
And Orange Cassidy's song Jane is a great song, but it doesn't fit his character. In fact, the old song, which I think is Green Day or something.
I think it was Rancid, the old
Rancid,
song.
yeah. That song fit him perfectly, like sort of slow meander. He doesn't really care. Like, say what you want about Ruby Soho's song, but at least it's called Ruby Soho. I mean, so it's
true.
Jungle Boys, of course, fits him because it's frivolous '80s, stupid, sickening, and boring, and makes you want to puke, just like him.
Jeez,
it's a small, silly, vapid song, just like him.
I agree, 100%, no doubt about it. Well, Jeff, let's get into the first matchup, shall we? Because can we say R.I.P. to Wardlow?
Yeah, a few months ago I said some people already gave their 6-month notice, and
really,
I said Wardlow's one of them, and there's nothing happening that's telling me any different than now. I mean, I think I know what's happening. I think that they want to put the belt on a heel. Why not put it on an original? Because I think they want to transition it back to Miro, which would be cool. But yeah, R.I.P. Wardlow. And you okay, I get it. You took out Arn Anderson, and I guess you still took up Brock Anderson so much that he can't even come out and help him. Why would he anyway? But they said he's in the middle of a 59-day reign. That's not even 2 months. That's this championship, they said, has changed hands 19 times.
Can we call it the Hot Shot Championship from now on?
What else would we call it? I mean, it wasn't with AEW from day one. It started in December 19, so there were 2.5 months. It wasn't. So what's that? 37 months, maybe somewhere around there. 30,
give or take
39 months. It's changed 19 times. That means it's changed basically every other month.
Yeah, it's sad what they're doing, but again, what I don't understand. What's the problem? Don't they see what they're doing to this guy? I mean, he was red hot at one stage, Jeff. Go back a year and a half ago, he was hot. But now...
He was red hot when he turned on and then destroyed MJF. And then they let MJF, who was going on strike, steal all the thunder in a promo. People love the promo, but it did nothing for Wardlow. It just eclipsed him. And then they booked him with terrible stuff, but the crowd still loved him. They heated him up just a little bit, but then they just kept killing him. And then to make matters worse, there was Ward Joe and there were Hobbs. But then then everyone loves what Joe's doing, and then you banish him to Ring of Honor. Everyone is like behind Hobbs, and then you have Hobbs lose it back to Wardlow, only for Wardlow to lose it again to Luchasaurus right away. I mean, and in the middle there, like Darby had a 2-week run. I mean,
Oh, he did. That's right. 2 weeks. That's it.
It's all been so silly.
Right. No, you're right, man. It's silly, and I don't understand the logic behind it because, again, they should have just kept it on Hobbs, really. Even up until this point. He should have still had it right now. This belt is going to do nothing for Luchasaurus. I'm telling you, man. Absolutely nothing.
Luchasaurus, listen, I want to like Luchasaurus. He's big. He's got the look. But he's a slow, plodding wrestler, and I don't really think Christian makes him all that interesting, to be frank with you. And
Christian just makes Christian interesting. That's all he does.
right, and he's not helping Luke. Like he can't help Luchasaurus. He just is what he is. Like Luchasaurus is a good like heavy, but there needs to be like Christian should represent the somebody else, and Luchasaurus should just be the insurance policy. This I don't know. This was a strange decision to make. I think it was a bad decision to make for all the reasons that we've already mentioned. And it wasn't a particularly good match. Like I thought the story was going to be that Arn couldn't be there, but Arn was asking Wardlow what he's willing to do, and he was willing. He would do a swanton off a ladder, and then Arn showed him that Arn would bite a dinosaur's thumb off. And it looked like Wardlow was going to bite Luchasaurus's finger, and I thought that was going to be how he got over, but instead. Luchasaurus just goes like this with his hand, gives him a back elbow, which is a pretty good back elbow. It's probably Luchasaurus' best move. And then it's more back and forth, and Christian gets in the way, and Luchasaurus wins. But so all of this, what are you willing to do? Nothing. I can't do anything without you by my side, fat man. I mean, it was no good for Wardlow, and this was not a great for. And when this happened, I'm like. Okay, the match wasn't fast, it wasn't frenetic, but it was a little too Keith Lee-ish in tempo. And I have to be frank, with this match, I was a little bit worried for the show. I'm like, this is my turn. Well, I was a little bit worried, but then I was also getting happy to the evil side of me going, okay, I'm going to be able to rip into this show too. So that's where my mindset was at that point.
Well, basically, Wardlow went for the power slam, but could only get Luchasaurus up so far because he kind of struggled a little bit. Especially at the point where it looked like he was going to pole drive him and then change his mind and power slammed him. That looked kind of weird. But anyway, then he went to the top rope and hit a swanton, which looked great. I'll give him that. That was actually quite a nice swanton.
He overshot it a little bit.
Yeah, but it was still all right. He still got it on the edge, doing it the safe way and not plomping on motherfuckers like Jeff Hardy seems to do.
If Alba Fire did the same thing and missed another woman by that much, we'd call it a botch.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, true. But
in fairness,
we'll give this a pass.
A 270-pound guy shouldn't be doing that move to another 280-pound guy. I mean, it's too dangerous.
You're right. And you know what? As perfect as it looked, as in the way he turned in the air, it looked like he kind of did it late. For a second, I thought he was going to land on his head. But he done it actually quite perfect. I mean, obviously, he knew what he was doing. But still, I kind of almost went, ooh, and then he flipped.
It was a lot of effort for a move that looked like it didn't hurt anybody.
That's true. That's actually a good point. Well, anyway, the straps do come down. Christian once again teased getting into the ring, drawing Wardlow's attention. He backed away quick, but then it was just an opening to distract the referee when Christian used some camera equipment to lay Wardlow out as Luchasaurus then jumped all over it, and then Luchasaurus defeats Wardlow to become your new AEW TNT champion.
Right, and this is where I was like, all right, fine. It might not be Tony Khan booking, but this is Shawn Michaels, Billy Corgan booking, and this I thought was a bad decision.
Oh,
and not a very good match either.
I felt like these two just don't really gel that well, you know what I mean? I mean, they're both kind of similar too, let's be honest, in terms of their in-ring abilities. I think it's a bad matchup in terms of exposing their weaknesses, you know what I'm saying? Because they both, either one of them are not ring generals, basically, you know what I mean?
Right.
They can't carry the match. But anyway, what I did pop to was Christian taking the title for himself and went to the middle rope to hold it up in celebration as Luchasaurus had him up on his shoulders soon after to celebrate together as Christian walked out holding the title. Are we getting an Andre the Giant $1 Million Man circa 1988 once again with this sort of championship run with Luchasaurus where Christian thinks he's the champion, if you know what I mean? Like $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase did when Andre technically had the belt, if you know what I'm saying?
That'd be fine. I mean, I don't. It's like I don't even care anymore. It's like this belt almost feels like the 24/7 belt. Just do whatever you want with it. It doesn't matter. It's a joke.
Fair enough. I mean, but look, Christian is such a douchebag coming out with that turtleneck, the skivvy, It's just so douchey when he does it.
I don't even know
kinda
where
still
you
like that.
find that jacket.
He's just a douchebag, dude. I love how douchey he looks.
This is what sort of like bulky, stout, sort of fat guys feel like. When you see something that wears so tight, all I can think about how difficult it is to get that goddamn thing off.
Hey, at least he dresses like a heel as well as playing like one, right? I mean, everything's done on purpose for a reason, obviously.
Oh no, he looks like a Bond villain from 1967. Absolutely. He's like, do you expect me to scream for help? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
So yeah, credit to Christian for doing the Healy thing, unlike others.
And
But
by the way,
anyway,
Nigel McGuinness calling him Christiane the whole time was amazing.
he's funny, man. He's absolutely like I said. I love the commentary. It was a throwback to the Ring of Honor old days, though, when you think about it, right?
Sure.
I mean, it was both of them back in the heyday. Anyway, but
No
we move on.
screaming. Nobody was screaming. Tony Schiavone wasn't screaming. Excalibur wasn't screaming. No
True.
Jericho screaming.
It was very chill.
It was so it was almost like I'm just watching a wrestling show to watch the wrestling. Even Aubrey Edwards didn't make that much of a spectacle of herself.
She didn't. It's true.
And I understand that was helped by because you have an entire crowd there, so you can use more camera angles to hide that. And they did miss a couple spots because of that, but they were able to use 360-degree camera angles because there was nothing to be embarrassed about. There was nothing to hide. That place was. I don't know if it was a sellout or not, but if that seats 20,000, they had 19,700 at least.
I will say this: I have seen footage of the Punk, what's called promo at the start via fan cam, and the hard camera side was pretty empty.
Really?
Yeah, there was. I saw it, man.
Filed in because we saw that they showed us. They showed us every angle, and listen, I look for things to pick at.
Well, I'm pretty sure it wasn't a sellout because not one of them actually mentioned that it was a sellout. And AEW, they would totally, be bragging about it.
But would Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness bother with that?
I mean, why wouldn't you? It's standard, right? You would want to tell everybody that it's a sellout. I mean, we never got any announcement that it was a sellout.
Maybe
not
they
that
just
I know of.
Maybe they just don't have that chip on their shoulder.
Maybe
they don't care about that. Maybe that's like something they're like, stop with the contest. Stop with the immaturity. We're here to cover wrestling. We're here to call the action. Tell the story.
Maybe you're right. Well, speaking of not wrestling, next we see QT Marshall and Powerhouse Hobbs being interviewed backstage. QT says Hobbs will win the Owen Hart tournament. I'm rolling my eyes as I'm saying it. Yeah. As Hobbs gets to speak briefly and pretty much just says the same thing. And that's it. That it's his time to shine, apparently, once again. How many times do we need him to shine only for him to get buried, Jeff?
Yeah, I don't know, but he's still writing the book of Hobbs. But I'll say these few things. First of all, Hobbs looked great. That whatever that outfit was, he didn't look like he was just coming out of the gym or just waking up. He was dressed to the nines, but he still looked cool. Like he had a cool looking outfit. Like the shirt, he wore it well. Lexi Nair looked terrific. QT Marshall, though, somehow looked gigantic. Like QT Marshall looked the same size as Powerhouse Hobbs, and that's not good.
Well, you know what, Jeff? I did notice it, and you brought it up before, and I forgot to mention, so I'll mention it now that you brought up QT Marshall. They were sort of doing different camera angles for this show. It felt very different to your normal AEW show in terms of camera angles. Production obviously was through the roof. Yeah. It actually looked like something that's equal to WWE in many ways. Just the way the whole show looked, everything was done so well. Do you think that's the reason why QT Marshall maybe looked just as big? Yeah,
I think it was the angle thing. I mean, they do it in WWE also when the camera is closest to Sheamus. Like he looks like he's 6'7", and like Butch looks like he's 5'4". I mean, I get it. And actually, listen, I'm not a big QT Marshall thing, but what he said made sense. Like Lexi Nair's like, who are you? Well, you're not dressed for action tonight, Hobbs. And he's like, whoa. We never said he was in action tonight. We just said he would be here. It's true. It just said Powerhouse Hobbs appears. Now, the fact that he's targeting the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament,
makes no sense.
I mean, doesn't seem like something he'd be particularly interested, nor does it seem like he lost the TNT championship. Like, it seems like that's what he should be going for, or he should be setting his sights higher for the AEW championship, or at least the international championship. He should say, there's a joke of a wrestler that everybody's saying is the workhorse champion around here, but he's never faced anyone like me. I mean, that would, no, the Owen Hart Foundation thing, because, you know, because and that's still Tony having some fingerprints on it, because that's totally a Tony Khan thing to say, make that important.
No, I agree 100%. But yeah, I mean, look, we'll see what happens in the future. But next, though,
yeah,
Jeff,
and if they're going to do it, they may as well make it seem like wrestlers feel it's important. It just always feels like Hobbs and Starks are put into these, like, they're trying to make like the real things seem like they're a real topics.
Not just that, it feels like is it? I don't know, man. I get the feeling just by their energy that Hobbs and Starks seem a little frustrated with their positions, especially Starks. Starks is sort of wrestling like he's got a chip on his shoulder right now, which I don't blame him.
We'll just get ready when if we hear Swerve and Keith Lee going for the Owen Hart tournament next, saying, yeah, they're putting all the black people, all the black guys going after the Owen Hart tournament, and while the white talent is going for titles. And guess what? You know what? They'd be right if that's what happens.
Oh boy, Jesus Christ, these companies sometimes. But anyway, let's move on to the next matchup, though, Jeff. It is Buddy Murphy. Did you hear Dasha call him Buddy Murphy, by the way?
I did.
I cringed at that, man. But yeah, it's not Buddy Murphy, Dasha. It is Buddy Matthews versus Andrade. Wait, get this. El Idolo or something like that. Isn't that what Kevin Kelly called him? I can't even do it. Yeah, but he said something like Idolo or something like that.
I did expect more from both of them on that. I mean, he's been gone a long time, but I mean, he's been using that name, El Idolo.
Right. Come on, Kev. I mean, clean up your Espanol a little bit, man. Come on, it's El Idolo. Jesus, the idol. Come on now. Okay. Heck, if you can't pronounce it, just call him the idol.
Now this is where the show shifted about a third into this match from, I'm not so sure. Like, Punk was great, but then the next match, and then the QT Marshall Hobbs things, okay, a little bit of that. And then this is like, I was excited to see this match. These guys look like $1 million. Julia Hart, still not quite sure exactly what her role is. The first third of this match, I felt the same as like the Luchasaurus Wardlow match, like it was slow and ponderous. But then all of a sudden, like everything was right. Even when, like, I really thought that they were both injured.
Yeah, these two went hard. And I think, like you said about the start of the match being kind of slow, I think that was all done on purpose just to tell the story, obviously. And then, you know, pick the pace up towards the end of the match, which is how shit should be done, right? I mean, have some psychology. Tell a story in between those ropes. And they did, because let's be honest, either one of them aren't really great at talking, but they get it when it comes in between those ropes. And that's what matters right now. And this was a great match. A hard-hitting affair, no doubt about it. I just don't get why Andrade wanted to shake hands with Buddy at the end. What's he trying to achieve here?
Because it was a hard-hitting match, and it was a smart match, and they were both warriors fighting through injuries. And first of all, I love that Andrade with one arm did the figure eight. I love that he went with Scarlett.
That's funny.
Scarlett's move. I know that people say, "Oh, it's cuck." Shut up! It's not a cuck.
He's whipped though, man. You got to give him that.
Good, let him be. Whatever. Who cares? He's happy. Sheesh.
Oh no, for sure.
They're all jealous. I mean, you know, there's a really thin line between like. This is a Venn diagram where guys who call themselves alpha and like to call other people cucks and being like, you know, single and alone for a long time in their life.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow. You said that, not me.
Yeah, pretty sure they knew. I'm the one with the Australian accent. No, I thought this match was great. And they had both doctors coming out to check on them individually. I thought
for sure.
And Julia Hart was going for the mask, and Try's like, don't touch that. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I was afraid they were going to do something stupid, but they didn't do anything stupid. I don't know. I thought this was a great match with great psychology, great selling of the injuries. I absolutely believe they were both hurt. And then the lights went out, and I'm like, oh no, this again.
Yeah,
but it was actually done sort of cool. And I vaguely remember during the COVID era when Andrade was with Austin Theory and Humberto Carrillo that I think that one of the last programs was with Malachi, Aleister Black, and Buddy Murphy.
I'll be honest, I kind of thought of that too because it felt familiar, right? But I'm not 100% certain. Right.
I think that they had unfinished business, and that was sort of the untold part about it. And I'm not even sure that I'm right, but I'm going to go with my Berenstain Bear memory on this one.
It's a Mandela effect, Jeff.
Yeah, and I'm going to go just like I thought that Karen Jarrett got hit with the guitar. I'm sticking with that. That's a better memory than what apparently
should have been that, but you know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought this was excellent. At the end, Andrade flipped back about a split second too early for the clothesline. But I love the whole Malachi Black thing. It's like he's like half Raven, half on. He like just sits there.
Yeah, he's got that Raven aspect to it.
Yeah, and then he just goes over. I don't even know what he said, but he said something like, "You're not good enough," or well, "I'll see you next time." It was no black mass. It was just and you know this is going to be LFI versus House of Black, and that's going to be something good for him and Roosh and Jalistico. And I just hope that Preston Vance gets sent to Ring of Honor.
Pero Peligroso, that he's not Pero Peligroso anymore.
Yeah, maybe he should feud with Larry.
Ooh.
Nothing against him. He's just not very good. I mean, he needs to go to NXT.
Fair call.
Or House of Glory. Go to House of Glory. Go to any indie promotion that has weekly shows. That gets professional talent to headline it and let them face him every single time so he gets better.
I agree. He sucks anyway. I don't even want him anywhere, to be honest. He should just retire or quit doing wrestling and find himself a 9-to-5 job and call it a day. Straight up. No offense,
you might not
Preston,
be wrong about that. I'm just saying, he's still young. He's a big guy. He's got an athletic background. You know, it's like he's never really had a chance to succeed because he was put into this place where you wrestle once every 3 weeks and you're supposed to somehow be trained through that.
It's true, man. Well, Facebook user says in the chat, I must say, Matthews looked great, like a wrestler should. Andrade was kind of plain. Miro should have done much more. Dynamite will surely be the new Raw in contrast. It feels that way.
I didn't quite get that. Does he mean Collision will be the new Raw in contrast?
Or no. Dynamite will be the new Raw. I assume he means
like that's the
Collision will become SmackDown. Right.
Yeah, I mean, so far so good. I'm not sure that I agree with. I mean, listen, Andrade looked good for Andrade, and if he really had a pec tear, then he looks good. But Andrade was never a big giant guy. Buddy Murphy just looks like he looks like one of those He-Man action figures.
He does look like He-Man.
He's unreal. You know, so for him losing matches is you know a little bit hard to swallow. But with the knee injury thing being sold so well, it didn't hurt so bad. So anyway, and then the heels overstrung at the end, and you know it's weird because LFI is pretty heelish, but if they're on the side of Andrade, who seems to be facious, I mean, you know, new show, fresh start.
Absolutely, it's true, and he was over. I mean, the fans were cheering him; they were giving him welcome back chants, and I felt like he looked cool coming out with his throwback La Sombra character, and that garb he was wearing. He looked pretty cool, man. In my opinion,
he looked good. I think his shoulder. He looks broader. You know, his shoulders lifted up. I mean, for him, he looked good. I mean, comparing pretty much anyone to Buddy Murphy that's not Bobby Lashley is probably a bad idea, or like Brian Cage or something. I thought he looked fine.
Sir James in the house saying, "Just got in, and you guys already talking about me."
That's all we're talking about all night.
No, because he's a big dude.
I know. I'm aware. Listen, we have 6 fans. I know who they are.
Actually, we've been getting a lot of listeners and viewers since we've been back live right here on the PWC Network. And
I tried to lose them all with my recorded solo shows, but some of them just stuck around.
Oh, man, it's all good, bro. And thank you for actually covering my ass as per usual. But anyway, as I said, though, El Idolo does defeat Buddy Matthews via submission. And at the end, as you said, we did have the House of Black come into the ring. And that's that. But next is what made me laugh. It is Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling in the ring. Nese mentions he's a professional trainer and he can't sit in the back another minute when he sees a crowd full of the fattest and most disgusting trash that Chicago has to offer. Should have called them sweat hogs, but still. They end up booing him. And he goes, "I know, boo, you're fat," which made me laugh.
This is the best Tony Nese has ever been.
Ever. I dare say, heck, if he's going to be like this, I might actually start to like him. I never thought I'd say that.
Except he's still too small to be taken seriously. You know, he's
right.
going to like bodybuilding or something.
True. Well, he says he's decided to shut Collision down because everyone's too fat. And instead, he's going to lead a group training session. That was fucking funny, man. I started laughing at that.
It was. And listen, there are people in the crowd standing up and trying to get on.
Dude, the fat motherfuckers in the crowd were, to their credit, putting their hands up, trying to friggin' touch their toes.
Mark
I don't know
Sterling
if they could.
took a suit jacket off. He's a good soldier, Mark Sterling. It's just he really is a poor representative of his clients, or he is he picks very bad clients, or some of both.
But still, even Sterling was pretty funny in this segment too. I just felt like this was just, yes, he was doing a version of Ravishing Rick Rude's sweat hog promo thing, you know, especially he should have called, because in New York he calls everyone sweat hogs, obviously, and everywhere else, but you always think of New York when you hear that line. But it was good. And he also said, put that deep dish down.
Yep, that was good.
And we all know New York is better.
That's right.
He kind of said it under his breath, too, the way he said New York is
another
better.
good... listen, this was the best Nice ever was. But, like, Nice isn't the story here. And out come the trumpets, and out comes the Redeemer.
Absolutely. He but before the Redeemer comes out, he starts leading a stretch when he's interrupted by the Redeemer to a huge pop. But I am disappointed that Lana is still nowhere to be seen.
I was hoping a little bit for Lana as well. But what I like to see, and this is going to sound very weird, but they let him grow his hair back. So he's back to being a hairy Bulgarian, Mediterranean
Bulgarian,
like us, like a hairy Thracian. Yeah, he's like doesn't have to wax and shit.
Thracian.
Like, yeah.
Well, Thrace is in Greece though now, Jeff. I know it borders with Bulgaria and stuff, but shit.
No, Thrace is...
look at me. I'm not that hairy. Come on now.
You probably wax. You
I don't. Look, man. There's my chest hair right there.
This is what a man looks like. Hair everywhere. Hair everywhere.
No, look, I've got a lot of hair here, but I've got no hair on my upper arms. Like, people got hair all over their friggin' back. I'm glad to say, as a Mediterranean guy, I'm not that hairy
and Miro
compared
is one
to
of
others.
Them. And he's starting to look like a barbarian again. And I like every part of it. I thought, and by the way, this was the kind of match that Takeshita should have had. Ospreay should have had a full squash, but this would have been better. This was basically a glorified squash. Tony Nese got a couple spurts of offense in, but it never looked like he was going to win, never out of control. And Miro won the match in like 6 minutes. This was, I'm going to say, almost perfect.
Oh, man, those stomps in the corner, they looked brutal, man.
Brutal like bad, or brutal like...
No, brutal is in good. I loved them, but they look stiff. I know they weren't stiff, but see, that's how you do a worked stomp, folks. Right. Come on now. No one puts effort in AEW to do even those, but Miro made that look really good, man.
He was great. It was great to see him again. It was great to see Andrade again. I mean, this was great. This is what I was hoping for. These folks in premier positions doing premier stuff and defeating the premier athlete.
Yeah, athlete, right? Exactly. Good line. And he does defeat the premier athlete via the camel clutch and gets a submission win in a great little comeback match for Miro. But anyway, let's move on though. Hopefully, though, Miro, is a regular thing and he doesn't actually get buried during his run. Hopefully, but he did look in great shape too.
Look great. Every part of it looked great.
Oh, for sure. Well, backstage, you see CM Punk once again, who said he never left. He just got injured. He's probably right. Still things to do, and he's going to finish them. He's the main event tonight in a 6-man tag team match. And that's that by Punk. Anything to really say here, Jeff, or we just keep moving?
Nah.
Sir Jam says in the chat, Chicago deep dish is like lasagna. It ain't pizza, bro.
It's
I don't
like,
care what they say. Pie.
It's like lasagna meets chicken pot pie. Listen, I like Chicago deep dish.
I don't mind that either,
like
right.
lasagna. It's just not pizza.
It's just not
it's
pizza.
a pizza casserole.
Actually, that's what it is. It's a friggin' pizza casserole. And when we say pizza casserole, the flavor of the casserole is pizza. Yeah. It ain't a pizza, right?
Yeah, which is delicious. There's so many delicious combinations you could, like layers of deliciousness in there. It's just not pizza. It's a perfectly excellent dish. It's just not pizza.
Right, exactly. I agree 100%. Speaking of this is just not pizza, Jeff, the next match I thought was the shittest match of the night. It is the Outcasts versus Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue.
Yeah, the women's match, and it's just this felt very AEW. The match, the team up. It's from the prior show stories. I think the only reason it was on the card is because it was in Chicago and Mom was there, and she's from Chicago, meaning Sky Blue. The first name on the Tron is Soraya. She can't even be bothered to be there. I was expecting to see Thunder Rosa. I wasn't expecting her to wrestle.
Yeah.
I was expecting to see her. We didn't even see her. We didn't hear a vignette. We didn't see a vignette about her. We didn't hear a backstage thing from her. We didn't hear a pre-recorded interview. She didn't come to commentary, to watch the women's match, to comment on Toni Storm. Nothing. And that's a big disappointment to me. And like I said earlier, I would have preferred to see some women who we hadn't seen before. We didn't need this story could have continued on Dynamite or Rampage. They're building to Forbidden Door too, so they have plenty of empty time where, if you just announce matches for that, people will go, woo! So listen, this was not the worst match I've seen from the women. This was not the worst match I've seen from them. There was one part where the ref was completely in the way and like Willow had to sort of dance around the ref, but she did it sort of clumsily, like I'm not sure whose fault it was. It was fine. It was okay. It just this didn't feel new, and Collision is supposed to feel new, and this felt old. So this was. I'm not going to because the match was okay and it was fine, and the hometown girl won and her mom was there. So I'm going to say Wardlow losing to Luchasaurus was a bigger fail, but I think thematically this was just a silly idea.
It was, and it felt like a throwback to AEW, as a matter of fact. Like you said, I know it's AEW, but like you said, it felt like TK booking, felt like Wednesday night or Friday night for that matter. And yeah, it was just a take a piss match, pretty much. Heck, I didn't even watch it properly, if you know what I mean, because I did go and take a piss. But it is what it is.
Match, but there were a couple of good hip attacks in there, and and there were a couple of people doing hip attacks, and Willow's pretty good, but she's not she's like Chris Statlander. She's not as good as people want her to be, though she has more natural charisma. She has more physical charisma. She certainly has more personality and emotes better with her face. But she still is often in the wrong place or not exactly sure what to do. But she realizes it more quickly and she covers. Like, she has a bright future ahead of her. I actually think Sky Blue does as well if they get enough work. And so I'm sort of impeaching myself to say they shouldn't have been on this show. But there's other places they can get the work. And this didn't need to be on Collision. We already said I would have preferred a different women's match with some people who we haven't seen in a while that we should have seen, because they have a deep roster in theory. We just don't see it. Yeah, we just don't see it.
Maybe everyone was Parking the bus, soaking. Maybe that's why they went around.
You just have to bring that soaking thing in there.
It's your fault. It's all your fault. God damn it.
Who was soaking with who?
Well, maybe we'll find out a bit later. But anyway, Sir Jam says in the chat, this show is really different so far. Hope it continues. That's exactly what we're saying, man, at the start of the show.
We have a new writer for the show, Sir Jam.
100%. If he can see that, and he wasn't even part of the start of the show when we were talking about it, it's 100% someone else definitely wrote this show. Could it have been Arn Anderson, say, possibly?
It could have been, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, I thoroughly believe CM Punk when he was taking the lead with this. Now, maybe Nigel McGuinness did some of it. Maybe Kevin Kelly did some of it. Maybe even QT Marshall can book certain things if allowed to. I'm not sure, but this whatever it was very much different. Maybe Christian had some. Who knows? Whatever it was a very different show. It was slower. It was more methodical. It didn't give me a headache. I could follow everything that was going on. When people tagged, the ref showed you that they tagged. The commentary said, she got the tag. You know, it wasn't like anybody was confused. Like, everybody wasn't running all over the place. People weren't obnoxiously setting up spot. Like, even in the Takeshita Bandito match, there was one of those times where Takeshita's like sitting there pretending he's dazed on the ring apron, like this with his hands, waiting to catch Bandito. I mean, if you're in a fight, wouldn't you go like this and go, psych? Or not go like that at all. You know?
Well, you're right. And you know what else made a comeback, as a matter of fact, and we're talking about this on Uncaged, is the tag ropes.
Tag ropes, huh?
It's back. It's all elite once again, apparently. And that's definitely a CM Punk thing, I think, anyway.
You should do a counter run. Tag ropes are all elite.
Yeah. I think there was a meme about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, when they started doing that, and then they
bring it back.
For sure.
Tag ropes are all elite with an asterisk. On Saturday nights.
Do we have the actual turnbuckle with the rope sort of hanging out? We've got to make that for sure.
Or just two pieces of string.
This company's funny as hell, man.
And then you cut to a picture of like two older pieces of string, and it's the parents crying because they're so proud
because they finally
made it.
Excuse me. It's true though, man.
You have all these balls of yarn, right? Do you think we can be tag ropes one day, Mom and Dad? Let's be happy for your brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a rare freaking thing where the rope actually makes it.
I'm doing a whole yarn and rope puppet show, by the way.
Now we have gone crazy, haven't we? But no, look, it was good because those little things do matter, Jeff. For me, anyway. True, indeed. Well, anyway,
and by reading, I mean listening to.
Like I said to you off the air, I'll get back to you about that
I don't actually understand why Stephen King hated the Kubrick version. I get it now.
Interesting. I mean, anyway.
It's a different story. I think it's still a great movie. But
Kubrick's version was pretty dark, dude.
Yeah. This was a different story. Like, King's version is more like the movie The Lighthouse than like someone becomes a complete psychopath in a haunted house.
Right. No, for sure. Well, anyway, Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue do defeat the Outcasts. And then after that, though, Jeff, we see Ricky Stark's promo.
And nobody ran in afterwards to lay down beatdowns or anything like that. No Saraya, no Sheeta running out, no Britt Baker was saved, nothing. No nonsense. Just they won. They won. They cheered. The losers, sulked out.
No, you're right.
It's a regular ending to a match.
And as Sir Jam says in the chat, he goes, if Saraya can't be there, then just make it a Tony Storm faction. And to be honest, Jam, I feel like it kind of is Tony Storm's faction now. I think it's clearly she's kind of the one that they're all sort of getting around. Does it not feel that way?
I mean, it's pretty clear that Saraya has a Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns type contract without adding what Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns adds to a show. I mean, she's basically been, she hasn't been a zero, but she hasn't been much of an addition. She's not much of a manager. She's not much of a wrestler. She's not there a lot. And I don't know if that's because she has physical problems, because she doesn't want to be there, because her contract doesn't require her to be there. but I don't miss her when she's gone. And I don't really enjoy it more when she's there. Like there's other people that like I could think if they wanted a third Mean Girl, they could find a third Mean Girl. Mercedes Martinez could be a third Mean Girl.
Where is she now, actually?
Well, she was just. I mean, they dusted her off for the first time in the year in the Fatal 4-Way for the #1's contendership for the match that Sky Blue has against Tony Storm. Isn't that this coming Wednesday?
It is. I'm not sure because I hadn't watched Dynamite.
This is how little I care about what's going on in the women's division in AEW.
Wow, she's back.
Anyway, Mercedes Martinez was dusted off in that match.
Well, Sir James says this was a wrestling show and it actually felt refreshing. True.
I agree. I agree 100%. This was like when they give you that lemon sherbet in between dishes at a 5-course meal.
But let's just hope it doesn't subside like Rampage did, because let's remember Rampage was the same at first. Felt like a big deal. It was great for the first 5 to 10 weeks and then fell off.
Listen, when you are an abused child and your parents are both sober on one weekend and they take you to the amusement park for Saturday, you're allowed to savor that Saturday without thinking about that tomorrow they're probably going to burn cigarettes in your arm again. Okay, so I'm going to savor this Saturday.
I think they've learned a lot this time. I don't think they're going to disappoint us too much. Hopefully, we'll see that.
Who they are. I mean, if the part of they, which feels like doing cocaine pinball machine booking, gets jealous or says that wasn't good, that's not what my vision is, and inserts themselves, then it's going to be trouble. If that part of the they stays away and this part of they continues with whatever their vision is, I'm going to give it faith, just like I give any booker who gives me some good stuff faith, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. No one's going to get everything right. No wrestling show is going to be amazing. Not even WrestleMania is going to be perfect. You know, it's just not the way of the game. And even if it is, it's not going to be to every viewer because we all don't like everything. So, like I said, we'll get to grades at the end. But I mean, does it sound like we're calling it perfect? No, but we were cautiously optimistic, and I think our cautious optimism was rewarded, and I'm pleased with that. And I am one of the most critical people without that being an act, without it being a gimmick, without like yelling and cursing, probably in wrestling. And I'm leveling my criticisms and I'm repeating them 4 times like I always do. But I'm basically happy with the show.
Acknowledge me. Acknowledge.
Yeah. Acknowledge him, folks, because he's right. Absolutely, he's right 100%. And look, I'll be honest, I was way more optimistic about the show, obviously, as you know. You were a lot more cautious
than I am, though.
No,
You're
but
a jolly
really,
little fella.
No, come on, man. Seriously. But, I mean, honestly, it lived up to the hype for me. Even though I was still cautious, don't get me wrong. I was setting myself up for disappointment also. But, like I said, we'll get more to that towards the end of the show.
And Lily likes Julia Hart. Like, Lily really is into her.
Oh, she is? Oh, is she like soaking with Julia Hart?
She'd be into that.
Jeez. Anyway, Ricky Starks promo where he says he's officially... Oh, God. Ricky Starks cutting a promo where he says he's officially declaring for the Owen Hart tournament, as everyone is apparently. He's going to be the next big thing and use a win to catapult him to the top. Don't lie, Ricky. That win ain't going to do shit for you, my man.
No, but listen, if you're doing it, you have to make people who seem like they're near the top of the card make it seem like they feel it's important. You have to. So
whatever.
They're doing it.
It does nothing for no one, man.
I agree. It's a little bit silly, and it's always awkward when Tony and Martha are together. I'm not going to lie. I love the awkwardity. I thought that Cole and Britt Baker winning it was so pretentious and so stupid. The pink belts were idiotic. I would have rather they got trophies, or something like that. Or honestly, trophies with that look like slammies. without infringing too much on the copyright or trademark of a Slammy, but you could do something. You don't have to change it all that much.
Right.
Even if you did one of Owen holding two things that look like Slammies, that would have been amazing. The belts was stupid, not very creative.
Woo!
Exactly. But it is. They're doing it. It's part of AEW canon now. It's semi-annual. Again, if you're going to do it, you have to make people who are semi-important make it feel like it's really important to them. Otherwise, why bother?
Right, and it's the conclusion at Forbidden Door, right?
No, the conclusion of it, I believe, is at a show. It might be All In. Might be the conclusion.
Really? Okay, interesting. We'll see. Well, that's a long time away, though. Oh no, it's not. It's a week after All Out, right? Oh no, or whatever. The other way around. Sorry. Right, right. But it's a week apart, if I'm correct.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think most of the matches are going to be during Canadian shows, and I think it's going to culminate with the Toronto show. Maybe it's a Collision show. Maybe it's not.
Oh, I
maybe
think
it's
you're
not
right.
All In. Maybe it's the
right.
Toronto Collision show. Which, as far as listen, there might be a lot of tickets bought for those Collision shows that were performing horribly. I would not be surprised if by tomorrow or Monday we heard that that all of those houses sold another 1,000 to 3,000 tickets just overnight, and because it's a Sunday, that they're not sure of the real numbers yet, and I wouldn't be surprised if those houses started to fill up.
Well, I hope so.
And if I would pay for a show if I'm seeing Punk, FTR, Miro, Andrade, House of Black,
CMFTR.
Yeah, Did I say FTR? Samoa Joe. I mean, why wouldn't I?
No, I agree.
Why finally looking like a star?
No, you're right. I said,
he looked more like a star in a 6-man match than they made him look in any of the matches he's been in so far.
No, you're right.
It's bizarre.
It was brilliant. It is bizarre, but we'll see if they can do this 2 or 3 weeks in a row where we can safely say, okay, they give a shit and this show is going to be the real deal. But anyway, before we get to the main event, there is one more segment because next, Jeff, it is Tony Schiavone in the ring to introduce Daddy Ass and the Acclaim, as Max Caster's rap was, as per usual, pretty good, Jeff. He said tomorrow's a holiday and everyone needs to make sure to wish Daddy Ass a happy Father's Day and Sesame, Daddy.
He said something about we got more something than Donald Trump has documents, something like that.
Right, some shit.
This was great. But the only thing I want to say about this is that Tony Khan looked as if a blind, retarded kid went to a Target and said to a salesman in the hardware department, said, "Hey, if I wanted to go to a golf club to impress everybody, what outfit would I wear?" And they dressed him in the most ridiculous outfit possible.
You mean Schiavone?
Hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, Schiavone. That's what Schiavone.
You said Khan. You said Khan at first. That's why.
Oh, I thought it said Schiavone. Anyway, yeah, Schiavone with that purple jacket he loves, these ridiculously aqua blue pants. It's like his shirt was nothing matched, nothing went together, nothing looked good. He just looked like a fat dummy, and that's it. I just wanted to say that Tony Schiavone looked ridiculous. And one of the bright spots about the show is that there was no Tony Schiavone, and then all of a sudden there's goddamn Tony Schiavone. Like, why can't Lexi Nair be in the ring? She looks nice.
Right, but he's basically the mean gene of AEW right now.
But he doesn't have to be the mean gene of Collision.
Right. Well, I know you're right.
It's a good time. It's a good time to stop that. Sting isn't here. He doesn't need to yell at Sting.
Sting!
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm just saying, give some other people a chance to like be normal or shine. He just looks stupid.
He does have a lot of power in the company. I'm pretty sure he's got a big job, one sort of talent relation type of job in AEW. So
there's 8 people who have that title, and none of them do anything.
Apparently so. You're right. Well, anyway, Schiavone told Daddy Ass he looks marvelous, decked out in a pink scissors outfit. Jeff, happy Pride Month, by the way.
That was ridiculous.
Anthony Bowen then made sure to say they'll be appearing on Dynamite and also on Collision, and party on Wednesday and party on the weekend. Excuse me. They also wanted to make history tonight with the first scissor on Collision.
You know what Daddy F looked like? He
that?
looked like a Pride Month astronaut.
Well, happy Pride Month. What do you call him? A gay space cadet?
Or just somebody recognizing and commemorating Pride Month in a spacesuit.
We keep saying this all the time, but the fact they haven't brought back Chuck Palumbo for a segment with the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, there's so much money left on the table if they don't do that. They have to play
even if
a
it's
version
just
of the
turn on him with the guns. But
it doesn't matter. I just want to see Chuck and Billy one more time, especially during Pride Month, dude. It's perfect.
Well, you know what? If it's on Collision, I have faith. If it was on Dynamite, Matt Hardy would beat him in a match to own his contract. So, I mean,
I know, it's so sad, right? Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Well, anyway.
But the Acclaimed is good. The Acclaimed says, not only are we the Acclaimed every Wednesday, but we're the Acclaimed every weekend. It's not just Saturday, because there's pay-per-views on Sunday, including this coming Sunday, Forbidden Door 2, in Toronto, Canada, at the Rogers Center, or what used to be called the Rogers Center.
Air Canada Center, right? That's what the original name is. But
you can try to buy tickets, but it's sold out.
I'm surprised at how quick that actually sold out. That's got to be the quickest selling of an event since AEW's inception, right? I mean,
I'm not sure. It sold out within minutes. I mean,
it did.
No card announced. I mean, but it's cool. People like to see a big New Japan show with big American stars as well.
Because it's a co-promotional show, which is rare in itself these days, right? So it's always going to be that excitement.
It's not nearly as rare as you think it is, but it's...
No, I know. You know what I mean. But
big time co-promotion. I mean, if you watch MLW, there's people from 92 different promotions. You know,
I get that, but I'm saying like a meaningful one here now. If you know what I mean?
Right. It's definitely a different level. It's a different level than Impact. And that's what the hubbub's about. And last year, despite everyone pretending that there was a great card with dream matches, it wasn't. It was just a slap together card, but none of them were dream matches. This year, they're giving us some dream matches. This year, I only know of three of the matches for sure, but all three of those definitely would, well, two of three of them absolutely would qualify as dream matches. Sonata Jungle Boy, no, Jungle Boy doesn't belong there.
I don't understand the reasoning behind that stupid match, man. Honestly,
there's a whole Punk Kenta thing, but they're saying it's not going to happen, and
no chance. Kenta wants nothing to do with Punk. He's still hot about Punk stealing his move, dude.
And there's also Punk probably doesn't need to be in the same building as his arch enemies.
That too, and I can't believe they're actually going to try to separate these two. Clearly, it's not on Punk's end. Clearly, it's the Elite being kind of bitches, right? I mean.
Counterfeit bucks rhymes with real fucks.
That's true. And did you notice he didn't actually say anything about Hangman, which I was surprised, and more importantly, not even about Kenny.
It is interesting, but I think that I'm projecting right now, but I think that I don't think he hates Kenny. I think if Kenny was alone, they could work things out. I think Hangman, he has so little regard for Hangman, he doesn't even want to give him the respect of alluding to him or mentioning him at all. The Bucks, I think he wants him to know that he hates them. And I have heard through Joe Numbus from Wrestling Soup, not directly, he said it on the air, that he has heard that Tony Khan is actually sort of sick of the Reseda guys, and he's just not sure what he can do about it because he's Tony Khan and he's feckless. Joe's information is usually spot on. I'm not surprised about that. And, I think the Bucks are expendable. I think their tag team division is fine to better without them hindering it. And I'm not sure the Bucks would be swooped up by WWE. I think the Bucks might end up working for Impact and MLW and NWA and shit. They may have to Matt Cardona themselves.
Well, what do you think? Because they're cancerous?
Yes.
Through WWE's eyes?
I don't think WWE thinks that they would add a thing, and if anything, they'd probably want to make them suffer through NXT.
You would want a Bucks Usos matchup, though, wouldn't you?
No. The Usos are so much better than the. I don't. I we already have Legado del Fantasma. There's already one team of 5'8", 100 and nothing pound guys on the main roster. And there's threats that they're going to put DIY together again. Like that's too many of the Lilliput squad. I don't need the Bucks anywhere neither. And they're not the young Bucks anymore. They're the middle-aged Bucks who are constantly injured Bucks.
Fair call. They're not young anymore. It's true, especially Matt Jackson. But we'll see. I do think this is sort of the beginning of the end of the Elite leaving AEW, though, one way or the other. I think they would be totally offended that not only weren't they not on the intro, but like you said, I feel like the power is shifting suddenly in AEW.
I don't know. I mean, this time slot is horrendous. The Punk is starting at a deficit, but if they get it, forget. I mean, forget about this Saturday night because I think it does matter where you start. But in 4 weeks, if they're doing, let's just say they do 750 for this Saturday night. That's good. It's not great, but it's good. It's overperforming. But in 4 weeks, if they're still doing 750 and Dynamite's doing like 850, come on. Somebody's going to have to realize that if you just swap nights, that 750 would be 1.2.
It's true. Sir James says he put subtle digs in. It was great. Wish they would have brought out Damien instead of left him in the bag. He. Right. We said the same thing, Jam.
But listen, it's Sir Jam. He didn't go he. He went ha ha. That's a big man. A big man doesn't go he.
It's true. It's true. Well, anyway, let's get into the main event, shall we, Jeff?
Sure,
because it is CMFTR.
Let us embark.
Right, let
us embark on the fast road to Collision.
Right, it's true, because this was the Collision course we were colliding to, and
the funny thing is the Rampage and Dynamite are much more demolition derbies than this was. This show was orderly.
It was, and Sir James says spot on, Jeff. So
yeah,
absolutely. But anyway, it was CMFTR, or was it the Hart Foundation? I'm not quite sure. By the way, I mean, I'm starting to hate. I get it. They love fucking Bret Hart. We all do, right?
It's a bit
but
much.
Come on, guys. It's too much.
And
please.
And by the way, there were too many times where Dax was smiling when Samoa Joe was hitting CM Punk.
Like a fucking mark-tard, Jeff.
Right, exactly like a mark-tard. Okay, you're performing in the match. You're not watching it at home. I appreciate that you like what you're seeing and that you're like wincing. Cool, but not cool because you're actually in the match. If you were watching from the audience and like, you know, when they have like there's 4 teams vying for the same spot and they're in each corner and you see them, like that's inappropriate. But when it's so, I mean, and that's not even like Jey Uso cracking up during one of the Roman things. That like he just couldn't control it. This is just a guy being a dork.
Top word to use right there, a dork. And you know what else was cringe? When they came out for the entrance and Punk's in the middle, you know how he does, what time is it? It's club ring time.
Yeah.
Friggin' Dax and Cash and Wash, whatever the fuck their names are, they're both sitting there like this at the same time and did the Punk fucking punch. I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Seriously?
I know. And JR, for the 100th time in 3 years, or the 2 years that FTR has been with AEW, said, FTR is like a combination of the Midnight Express and Arn and Tully. Really, that's insightful. They come out for the Midnight Express.
The music, right. That's the only thing
really
that's similar.
Like the Midnight Express. I mean,
no, it's just a song. It's just a damn song. Why you would say that, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're like the ground guy from the Midnight Express and Bobby when he was on the ground, but they don't have the air guy. Period.
I mean, no, they're definitely the brain busters, though.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely Arn and Tully. They're closer. They're closer to Ole and Arn than they are to the Midnight Express. I know it's stupid, and they have the music, and
that's the only reason why.
I'm sure they love the Rock and Roll Express too, but they're nothing like them either.
As a matter of fact, Jeff, they hated their entrance music until they realized the crowd sort of got more into them, thanks to it in a way, which was TK's idea, which I guess he got right, because now I feel like it does sort of go hand in hand with them. It just makes them feel a little bit more.
Because they want Natalia's music.
Well, I was surprised actually that we didn't get a remix version of Bret Hart's theme when they came out. I
I'm
won't lie.
happy they don't come out in blue blazer outfits. Okay.
With the theme going pew 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 at the start. I mean, their theme's not that far off, right? Just add the pew pew pew, then pew.
If this was WCW 95 or 2000, they'd come out in blue blazer outfits, and Punk would come out in the Red Rooster.
And doing the neck movements also at the same time. Oh boy, dude, the Red Rooster.
Punk, 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 punk.
What time is it? It's pecking time. That's what the fucking is, not clobbering time. Oh shit! I don't know why, but I think it would suit him. Can you picture him having a little fucking sort of red, what do you call it on chickens and roosters? What's that damn flap thing called? The red thing?
Crest?
Is it a crest? Is that what it is?
I don't know. Listen, let's not get stuck in this thing. No,
You make me laugh.
I could absolutely see Jungle Boy doing that.
That's a good one too, because he'd be the perfect next Red Rooster. I mean, seriously, why not? That should be his new gimmick. Actually, fuck it, call him the. Excuse me, you've totally thrown me off now, Jeff.
I don't want to be a chicken. I'm vegan. Shut up, no.
Jesus Christ. Anyway.
I wish Luchasaurus would eat him.
Oh, God. You know
what?
what?
And actually eat him on TV.
He should have, but he didn't.
I'll pay the FCC fine.
God damn it. Anyway, where were we? As I was saying, they did... Right. CMFTR, the Mark Tard team, did face against Samoa Joe, Jay White, and Juice Robinson. And you know what? It was the Triple J's, actually, as a matter of fact. And everyone gelled really well in this match. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say this. Juice Robinson actually impressed me during this match. I'm not going to lie.
Everyone was good in this match, except for two things. One, Dax smiling like he's a fan in the audience. And the other thing is when Punk was being choked out by Samoa Joe and Cash finally hit the neck breaker on the other and got free. He does a spear to get Dax free instead of breaking up the choke, which maybe possibly is a seed towards long-term storytelling where Punk finally turns them going, you guys you're teaming with me, but you're not teammates with me. And if he did like a Uso thing where they show the Exhibit A for where he defended Sami Zayn and he showed, here, you could have saved me. Instead, you saved him. We could have lost the match in that. It was that close. You didn't know. You should have broken that up. I mean, so if that's going to happen, I will forgive it. But if that's not part of it, that was idiotic for him to run all the way across, do a spear to rescue his partner, and then have his partner break it up. Because Punk was going out, and that ref could have called it at any second.
Right, it's true. And I didn't like the way he was selling it, to be honest, Jeff.
I like the way. Listen, I thought Joe. Aside from those two things, I thought this match was great. This is the best Juice Robinson's look. More importantly, because he's still the pin eater, more importantly was the best that Jay White has looked, and Joe looked amazing. I've forgotten what a block of a man he is and how good he is. And
dude, he made CM Punk look like a bitch with those chops, man, because Punk could not keep up. Right. Could not do the same sort of hardness when it came to the chops. Those Joe chops on Punk would have hurt like hell, dude. They were loud, they were hard. And then on top of that, I'm glad that Joe no-sold Punk's chop because it was nowhere near as striking as Joe's was. So I would have done the same thing.
There's been a lot of hype about Punk's rehab and how everyone's been saying he looks great. He looks to be in great shape. He looks to be in great shape for a regular 44-year-old man. He doesn't look to be in great shape for a professional wrestler. He looks to be in below. Is that the Gap band early in the morning?
It is. But since we're talking about roosters,
I know.
I mean,
Well, that's the best song with the rooster that doesn't involve the Wiggles. So
It's a great tune. I actually don't mind the tune. I won't lie.
I love it.
For
It's on my playlist. You got to be kidding me. It's one of the first 30 songs I bought.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. I like that because it is. It's
that and Burn Rubber.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, like we were saying, the Roosters are going hard. Everyone was moving the necks. Everyone was going banana, as Pat Patterson would say.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
basically great. And Joe looked great. And Punk didn't. Punk looked good. Like, he didn't look like he had a terrible mouth ring rust. He wasn't overexposed.
Oh.
But he definitely looked like he was overmatched by Joe. And I'm okay with that. I don't know that all Punk fans would be, but they won in the end. They got the babyface underdog win, even though they probably came in being the favorites.
No, for sure. As a matter of fact, the commentators, which I found interesting, Jeff, they kind of pointed out that Punk wasn't always in the ring by design, which I felt was a bit funny that they would say that, because it's kind of exposing the business a little bit by saying that, in my opinion. But whatever, they said it, and I guess that's true. I mean, that was purposely done. Right.
They didn't hide the fact he hasn't wrestled in 10 months, and he hasn't been able to train the entire time of the 10 months he's been gone. Probably the last 2 or 3 months. And when you actually switch from rehab to training, who knows? And he's an older guy, so I don't know if that was part of the thinking as to why he looked good but not dominant. But whatever it was, it worked for me. I enjoyed the match, and this is the first time I saw that Jay White that other people see and pretended they saw on regular AEW programming, but definitely didn't. This is the Juice Robinson that people told me that I've been missing out on, but they were pretending that they saw it on AEW television. They definitely didn't. But everyone looked good here. This match was booked well, unless you're a complete like CM Punk should have killed everybody because he's the best. Unless you feel that way. And my two little nitpicks, and one of them, like I said, might not be a nitpick. It might be a purposeful plot point for a story that they're going to use later, or at least consider using, and maybe abandon. But who knows? But I thought it was a great end, and no schmaz. Remember, I was terrified.
True, you did say that.
Were going to come in and join Bullet Club Gold, and then Ricky Starks was going to come in to try to even the odds, and then there'd be someone else, and this would lead to some 5-on-5 at Forbidden Door 2, and yet more factions. And I've been scarred by Tony Khan and the shit. It didn't have. It was just a clean win, and the crowd, the crowd the whole night. It felt like when they cheered, they were really cheering because they were enjoying the show, not because they felt they had to cheer to pretend they were enjoying things, not because they were singing along to songs or chants or going, oh, yo, 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 or,
we didn't get none of that shit, actually, Jeff. True.
Right. It was like none of that. It was just cheering. There was some CM Punk chants, but,
of course. As it was expected.
It actually felt like a wrestling crowd that was excited to be watching wrestling and cheering when they were supposed to cheer, and I thought it was great. I didn't think everything was perfect. I give this show a strong B+ to a semi-nominal A-. But
I was going to say A- for me, for sure. That's how much I enjoyed the show.
But I'm still, it's still overachieved for me, and I'm quite happy with it. And I really do think there should be a petition to move Collision to Wednesday nights and Dynamites to Saturday nights. And by the way, Warner Brothers Discovery, that would be a winning decision for you business-wise.
Well, if the shows stay the way they are right now, because Dynamite, I haven't watched it in 2 weeks, and I'll be honest, it doesn't bother me that I didn't watch it for 2 weeks. But has it even improved, Jeff?
It's
not really. Same old shit.
It's improved only because the New Japan stuff has been more interesting this time, and they've done a better job of having a Sonata vignette or pre-recorded video. So in that regard, it's improved. But has Dynamite itself improved? No, it's the same old shit.
Are we going to even have Punk, before we end the show, Punk and the Elite on the same pay-per-views, or are we totally?
They're going to have to be.
Yeah, right. That's why I'm a little confused, right? I mean, Are we really going to separate him like this, even on pay-per-view set?
But I bet we see weird things where they start doing like what WWE is, where like one main event is like in the first one or two matches, and the other main events are like at the end. So there's plenty of time that they don't need to be near each other.
Well, like you said earlier, I do think Punk and Kenny are on the low kind of cool with each other because they do follow each other, which I was surprised about. You know Punk. I mean, not personally, but you know his attitude, obviously. If he didn't like somebody, he would not follow him. I guarantee you that. He doesn't even follow many people in the first place. Mm-hmm. The fact that Kenny's still there after all that bullshit tells me the hate is not really there between the two of them. He's just being a friend, I guess, Kenny, by being loyal to the Bucks. So we all understand.
I make fun of Kenny a lot. And I think that he's overrated as a wrestler. I still think he's a really good wrestler. I just think he's overrated. People say he's the best in the world. But I think he's a dork. I think he's awkward, but I don't think he's a bad guy. Like I think he's probably a nice guy. I just don't think he's the brightest and like I think like he's sort of a scatterbrain. Like I don't think
he plays that up though, Jeff. To be honest,
yeah, but I don't think he meant to forget to help the Japanese women find housing. I just don't think he thought about it.
Right? No, I agree. I absolutely agree with that because he's not that type of guy, like you said. I agree with what you said. I think
like,
he just
he
forgot
wakes
about it.
up and he probably has a routine. Like he drinks his greens and protein shakes. He probably runs 9 miles and like carries a tree and runs up a mountain or something. And then thinks about going to a job and then like goes to Java Juice or whatever. Or
think about it.
Soy cakes or something. And and like you know and like answering emails and stuff like isn't really part of his thing. And then he probably plays video games. And then he probably
that's what he does all the time. Right. Well, for a 40-year-old, honestly, I haven't seen a better 40-year-old move as good as he is, other than AJ Styles, maybe. Honestly. I mean, he hasn't slowed down. There is, though. That's true. Well, there's a lot of upcoming 40-year-olds also. Mm-hmm. They're on the cusp.
Listen, I know he's hurt right now, but when Randy Orton moves, Randy Orton moves. I mean...
Oh, absolutely. And I hope he comes back, too. Wow, 44 already.
I think so. He's around there.
Shit, that's crazy, man. That is actually crazy. Well,
Kenny is an extremely agile person, and he's very precise with his moves. It's like he
knows his body too.
That he had like 97 different moves. Now he's got the same 6 or 7 moves, and just like every other wrestler, he's got the same 6 or 7 moves.
He has toned down a little bit. He's not doing those like those suicidas and shit like that like he used to all the time. Now he's sort of saving him for what did you say? Good?
Yeah, I said good.
Oh, I think you said who for a minute, right?
No, he'll extend his career. I hope it's not too late.
No, for sure, I agree. And you know me, I'm a Kenny mark. I'm not going to hide it. I am a Kenny mark. In my opinion, right now, he's definitely nowhere near the best. It is what it is. Roman Reigns on a different stratosphere right now. But when he first won the PWI #1 spot while he was still in Japan, I truly thought at that point he was the best professional wrestler in all of wrestling at that time. He definitely had the most hype also.
I can't comment on that. I mean,
fair enough. But right now, he's definitely not there. That's Roman, like I said, he's just on a different level right now, man. He's surpassed him in every fucking way. Like, it is what it is. I just don't think
Kenny Omega's the kind of person that people hate. They might hate him from a distance, like I hate how he wrestles or whatever. But I don't think like anyone like hates the guy like really. Like if you know him, that you hate him. Like I don't think it's like I would never meet him at Friendly's for milkshakes and a burger. No, he just seems like he seems. Like
I think Cornette is the one that legitimately hates him. There,
I know, but my guess is that they've actually never actually spoken.
No, they have, because he was the booker of Ring of Honor at the time. This is why he hates him.
When?
Back, Cornette? You don't remember when he was the booker?
Like in the early aughts.
Right, that's when Kenny was actually part of the Ring of Honor roster, like officially.
Early. I mean, that was
he wasn't there for long, but he was part of it. Right. Well, what happened was, if you haven't heard the story, he basically dissed Ring of Honor. He cancelled his appearance on a pay-per-view to go and work in Japan instead. But what he said to Cornette was that he was injured and sent him a fake, he's so dumb, a fake picture of his foot with all gangrene and shit. That it looks like, yeah, like it looks fake as fuck. And that's why Cornette hates his guts.
Okay, well, listen, fair enough, but it sounds like a 25-year-old doing what a stupid 25-year-old would do.
Right, and he was young, and he wasn't even over yet at all. Like, nowhere near it. He was that Kenny before the cleanup Kenny, if you know what I mean.
I mean, listen, if Cornette could forget people who, like, got drunk and arrested and missed bookings, you could forget this idiot for... I mean, listen, Ring of Honor is, and like, from year 2, everybody knew it was a stepping stone and not a career destination for most.
No way. And I understand that. I would have ran to Japan at that time too. Ring of Honor was nothing what it became just a few years later. You know what I mean? It is what it is, but that's where the hate comes from.
It was over it was in the 2000s, and it was still grainy like 1981 UHF television.
I think it was between 06 and 08, somewhere along those lines. So yeah.
Yeah, like we had high definition then.
Yeah, it was starting. It just started.
It was 1080, but it was high definition. But what we were getting was like this lesser quality than like Quincy episodes.
That's true. Actually, I think it was 2008 when the HD eras sort of started with wrestling. As a matter of fact,
whatever. The Ring of Honor quality was like worse than the Rockford Files.
It was shocking. I've got some of those old DVDs, dude, that they used to sell back in the day, right? And that looks like shit if you watched it now, put it that way. Like absolute garbage. But anyway.
By the way, Sir Jam, I see you and I recognize you.
And right, and what, the Mick finger bang comment are you talking about?
No, run-in should be surprise comebacks. The one that's...
How do you see that and I'm not? That's weird. It's not coming up on my screen, but it's clearly coming up for you, right?
I have great powers that you do not have.
Can you see the ticker?
Great and powerful.
No, really, it's not coming up for me. But can you see the ticker on the bottom by any chance?
Yes. I've been studying many disciplines of magic.
That's weird, dude. But yeah, he says running should be surprise comebacks or surprise debuts. That's it. Security breaks.
Is through me.
I kid you not.
Ball is through me.
For some weird fucking reason, it's not coming out for me. But
there's no weird reason. The power of ball is not through you.
And he also says, look up Bobby's age. Surprise. We knew that. Right. We know how old he is.
Yeah, but Bobby looks amazing, but he doesn't really move that way.
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't. But he's a smart worker, though.
Listen, everybody should have somebody in their life that loves you the way I love Bobby Lashley.
That's true. Well, anyway, I guess we can take it home now, Jeff. We have done it now on 45.
You're going to just want to end 10 minutes. I mean, 10 hours doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Right, except this time with Chris, where Chris will be the host, and it's also for channelattitude.com. So look out for that. I think we're starting between 10 and 11.
Unless you can catch it live, I guess. I don't know.
Right, that's when you get it for free. And by the way, and so everybody knows, I'm glad you kind of reminded me about something. But we're from now on, Uncaged and Wreckage, the HMG version of Wreckage. But from next week on, anyway, both shows, well, from this week, actually, from tomorrow with Wreckage, it will be exclusively also on the HMG. We're going live via HMG, Jeff, including with Uncaged, where we'll be on the Hamid Media Group YouTube channel, not on the PWC YouTube channel. So remember to tune in for Uncaged and Wreckage. I just
got a message from Chris, so did you, that it's possible the vet may pop in tomorrow as well.
Right, I spoke to the vet, as a matter of fact, and I forgot to mention that, but he hadn't replied yet. But me and the vet were talking about this a few weeks back, about doing the show for Channel Attitude, and he said if it was on Sundays...
No. This is the vet's been begging to do shows with us, and we finally said yes. That's how. So guys, listen. This PWC show is going to also be an official HMG show. So Uncaged and Wreckage is both HMG and PWC going
and PWC.
Forward.
Right.
You will probably see it first on HMG for a couple days, and then you'll be able to download it on PWC. But as always, if you catch us live, it's free for all of you to watch it.
Absolutely for free. So yeah, just remember, we are going to be on both the PWC Network and on channelattitude.com.
Enormous raises.
Oh yeah, huge raises, as Trump
I
loves to
get
say.
2.5 slaps for free.
Wow. And you know what? It's $5 once again, Jeff. Those $5 hand slaps, man. They're back down to $5. So
Well, that's because he
can
can afford to give me a raise of $30 worth. So it's
Inflation.
He's like $12.50 is all you get, dude. I'm like, deal.
Deal, absolute deal. So yeah, look out for us in the AM, sometime between 10 and 11 AM. We're waiting on Chris to know 100% what time that is.
10 a.m. Christmas time is 11 a.m. Eastern. So
yeah.
listen, follow us on the Facebook feeds, either us, Channel Latitude, HMG, it'll show up. But figure around 11 a.m. Eastern time, United States it will be no earlier than that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And plus, Jeff needs to get some sleep because he's coming back in the morning, as I will be, which will be in the AM for me too, funny enough, just in the darkness, Jeff.
That's where you belong.
The darkness.
Right, the outro song could be Leonard Cohen, Darkness. I got the darkness, baby.
Jeez, don't tempt me. Well, anyway, Jeff, it is a great song, but Saturday night is going to be all right, I think, Jeff. That's what matters most.
Listen, I didn't get my aggravation in. This was all right. This
Who
was
would've thought?
I didn't feel like fighting. This was good. Me happy.
Me happy.
I
too.
will dare say that listen, the end of the Bloodline was the most impactful part of wrestling this week, but the CM Punk return was a close second, and I thought the Collision was the best wrestling show this week.
Absolutely the best wrestling show this week, by a long shot, actually. And like you said, I enjoyed the Bloodline stuff, but yeah, I mean, Collision felt like a big deal.
I didn't think any of the WWE programmings this week were bad. I thought they were all pretty good. Not great, but pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, let's hope we go in this direction from now on with all of professional wrestling, especially WWE and AEW in particular, because...
And I think I graded Dynamite a whole lot more generously than Chris did.
What would you grade it? Or what did Chris probably hate? Chris always hates Dynamite now, let's be honest.
He didn't give it an F. I think he gave it a D.
Ooh, for dicks?
I might have given it a D- on a Dynamite curve. But,
wow.
But that B- wouldn't equal this B+. Like, if I was grading them together, like, Dynamite would have been like a C.
Wow, I'm glad I didn't fucking watch it. But I will say this, if TK is the guy booking Dynamite and Rampage moving forward, and whoever's booking Collision every Saturday night, if we still get that TK style of bullshit every Wednesday and Friday, Collision is going to become the show. And like you said, he will get jealous.
He will get jealous. Now, if it comes out that TK is booking Collision too, then we have to start worrying about how bipolar he is.
Oh, careful. I've had a lot of heat for saying bipolar booking.
This is like more than one. This is a different personality, and I like this one better.
But is it a cult of personality, Jeff?
If it's him and he keeps booking like this, maybe.
Oh, maybe indeed. I mean, if this was Tony Khan, I'd be amazed. But
wouldn't it be funny if like this Tony Khan came in, he's in a tuxedo, his hair is neat,
like a different character.
He's got like a mustache. He's like smoking a cigarette from one of those like long paintwind like elongator smoking things.
Wait,
he's got like a gold cigarette case, and people always come to him with like he's like flocked by beautiful women in the evening.
Oh my god!
All of a sudden, it's like just like Tony Khan is James Bond. Like he's got like the secret persona that's like 007.
Wow, I'd be shocked. More like, do you remember Scary Movie, the first movie? Mm-hmm. Do you remember Doofy?
No.
You know the guy that was vacuuming? He's like, don't disturb me when I'm cleaning my room. And he's got the vacuum, and he's sucking his dick with the vacuum.
Ooh, I don't know.
He was literally soaking with the vacuum. But to my point, though, by the end of the movie, he was just working everyone. He wasn't a retard. He was like a cool motherfucker with a leather jacket and everything, and smoking and walking away with a smile.
The Simpsons with Ned Flanders, where he takes off his sweater and he's like,
yeah.
He's like Tony Khan. He's got like an 8-pack. He looks like John Morrison under there.
You know what, man? He should do that just to fucking make us all laugh, man. I would be like, I'm sorry, TK, you are the man. We're not worthy. Plain and simple. If you'd done that, it would pop me. I won't lie. Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Should we say our goodbyes?
I think we should. So, Jeff, tell them where they can find you, man.
Twitter, Icarus Fell MD, here on the PWC. Also, you've already heard about what we're doing with Hame Media Group and Channel Attitude. My other wrestling podcast is Hammerlock Hangover with Big Daddy Cool Steve Pena, also on the PWC. And my non-wrestling shows are Garden of Doom and Garden Views on the PWC and Hame Media Group, also on Wrestling Soup Network. And I do want to congratulate once again Drew Yari for having his 300th show. I dropped in for about 10, 20 minutes to celebrate his 300th show with him. And homeboy, I understand that we're going to be recording the show this Monday, yeah. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So look for the Homeboy 88 show. This is my third appearance, I think, in like 6 weeks. I'm not sure what's up with that, but hey, more me.
Well, I was supposed to be also on it last week, but due to circumstances, as I've already explained, I wasn't able to make it, but hopefully we reschedule that one. But before we do go, Jeff, Chris Willand has one thing to say, and he wants us to answer this, but apparently he says, has AEW created one major star presentable on talk shows, media, and whatnot, Make-A-Wish or merchandising yet? Jeff has mentioned Jade Cargill crossing into film, which would be her best career choice. Is there any others possibly, Jeff, before we go?
Possibly? I think Miro absolutely has the personality.
Well, he's already done so, right?
Yeah.
Moxley has too, to a less extent.
So weird, though. I mean, if Cesaro had any sort of personality, he could certainly do it. Brian?
What, James Bond?
Brian, Brian Danielson could certainly do it.
He's too, like a sort of retired cop or some shit?
No, I mean, he could do Make-A-Wish, and he could go on the talk show circuit.
Oh, yeah.
In
that sense.
Reverse and things like that. I don't know. I have to give it something. I would like to say Britt Baker because of the dentist thing, but she's sweet. But she tends to be unlikable when she's herself. So, I don't know. I'll just stick with those answers for now, but I'll continue to give it a little bit of thought.
Oh, yeah, me too, man. You put us on the spot, Chris.
Okay.
You kind of did right at the end. But, yeah, we'll get back to you on that one.
I mean, honestly, AEW has to get bigger before that's even a real consideration.
That's true. It's true. But after Collision, it feels a lot bigger. I won't lie. I mean, everything about this show looked like a big deal in every sense. But in saying that, Jeff, did you give all your socials in the end?
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess it's my turn. So if you want to follow me, you can on Twitter at DJ MassFX, and you can follow us also at the PWC Network. Like and subscribe right here to the PWCNetwork.podbean.com, where you will find all our shows, including this one. And more importantly, also for $5, go over and join channelattitude.com, where you get the best talk in all of wrestling for only $5, man. That's $5, not join the Dark Order. $5. In saying that, also like and subscribe to HameMediaGroup.podbean.com, where you can find our affiliate shows, including John Enrights, and right here in Dr. Jeff Lippman in Garden of Doom. So I think that's about it, Jeff. So in saying that, I'm Jimmy T. That is the evil one, Dr. Jeff Lippman, and you've been listening and watching the PWC Saturday Night Wreckage right here on the PWC Network, and we're outie. Peace.
But it's slightly less evil, my friends.
Slightly. See yous.